What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Ben on Sports. And as you can tell, you guys know what the screen means. It's the NFL weekly predictions, weekly preview, weekly review coming at you for week 15, reviewing week 14 in the thick of the playoff race. Who's in, who's out? How did I do last week? Who's going to win this week? All of that is going to be covered. So without further ado, let's jump right into last week's Thursday night football game. The Lions and the Cowboys, and the Lions win 44-30. Not a result I thought was coming. I thought it would at least be a little bit closer. Lions are such, and Cowboys both to me are such up and down teams. But the important part is Lions get a win to stay firmly in the wild card race, and the Cowboys fall a little bit further behind. Who did I have winning this? I did have the Cowboys winning, so I am 0-1 to start the week. Moving into the 1 o'clock Sunday slate, the Seahawks blow out the Atlanta Falcons on the road. Seahawks still look to be one of the best teams in the NFL, still absolutely pummeling teams, and I did pick them to win this week in a battle of birds. The Bills and the Bengals, Josh Allen versus Joe Burrow, two of the best quarterbacks in the league. They've seen each other in the playoffs. So many good games between these two teams and their current regimes. High scoring game, shocker when with the two quarterbacks I just listed, that the Bills won at home where they are such a different team than they are on the road. Bills win 39-34 over the Bengals, just as I said they would. Browns and the Titans with a shocking upset victory over a 3-win Cleveland Browns team, 31-29. Yes, the Browns had turnovers, but man, they gave up a lot more points than they normally do for such an elite defense. I know there was some turnovers aiding them in that. Also, the Browns just taught everybody a lesson. I understand modern analytics, and I understand that sometimes it works out for teams, but in this situation, just take the freaking points. You were down 2 touchdowns. You scored 2 touchdowns, and you still lost by 2 points because you went for a 2-point conversion twice and lost it both times, one of which you don't even have your rookie quarterback, who seems like he's finding his footing, on the field for. Absolutely terrible from the Browns. This game should have been going to overtime. Instead, the Titans lose, and I had the Browns winning, giving me a loss for this game. Moving on in the 1 o'clock slate, the Vikings, not much to talk about. I thought this game would at least be close between two teams searching for a rebound, searching to get wins that haven't had one in a while. And the Vikings just awful welcome to Minnesota for the Commanders. Vikings slap them 31-0 at home in Minnesota. Big win for the Vikings, finally getting off the mat. And the Commanders still struggle, still have quarterback health issues, getting shut out in this one. I did think the Commanders were going to win, and I look stupid. The Jets and the Dolphins. Dolphins jumped early on the Jets on the road, 21-0. Jets return a punt in the first quarter, or an opening or a kickoff in the first quarter. The game goes to 21-7 in the first quarter, and then both teams kind of coast from there, with the Dolphins winning 34-10 over a bad Jets team who was on an undrafted rookie quarterback. Dolphins continue to hang around with a very slight chance at the playoffs. Just as I thought they would, they got a win this week. Bucks and Saints, and the Bucks, injuries after injuries, it keeps costing them. The Bucks are on such a cold spell right now, and the Saints, who are a live underdog, I wouldn't want to play them right now. They're playing everybody close. The Saints go on the road to Tampa Bay and pick up a big victory, meaning the Bucks are in incredible danger of losing out in their division. I did have the Bucks winning this game, giving me a big old fat L. The Jaguars and the Colts in a very important divisional matchup. This matchup could be important for who wins the division. It could be important for a wild card spot because the Texans are all of a sudden on both of these teams' heels, and Daniel Jones tears his Achilles, and the Jaguars win this one easily, 36-19. Jonathan Taylor can't do it all by himself, especially when they don't have a good quarterback. Jaguars picking up a big win, and they look to have an inside track to winning their division, and I did have the Jaguars winning this football game. The Ravens and the Steelers, old school AFC North matchup between two bitter rivals, and the Ravens still can't stop shooting themselves in the foot. The Ravens should be a 10-win team at this point with how many games they lost they should have won. This is another one. A couple of freak plays, a couple of weird things happen, and the Steelers keep finding their way to luck into wins. I guess you create your own luck in some ways. I don't think this Steelers team is a good enough team to make the playoffs, but they find a way to force turnovers. They find a way to get enough points. The stats don't look good, but they don't have to look good. Your win-loss record is all that matters at the end of the day, and the Steelers walked away with a victory in this one, giving me another L. The Raiders and the Broncos. Yet again, the Raiders play the Broncos close, only lose by 7 points. Raiders defense, I think, is starting to look better. Can this Raiders offense step it up? The Raiders aren't playing for anything this year. Probably, or not probably, they should end up with the top 10 pick, continue to add talent to that roster. Broncos still fighting for a number 1 seed in the AFC with the Patriots as of right now. And winning the games you're supposed to, like this one, goes a long way. Broncos win just as I said they would. The Packers and the Bears. We had the AFC North rivalry. Now it is an NFC North rivalry. I've been saying I haven't bought the Bears all year, and finally somebody proves me right by beating them. Green Bay taking over first place in the division from Chicago with a 28-21 victory over the Bears. Just as I predicted. Not much to say about this one. The Rams taking all their frustration about losing a game they should have won against the Panthers last week and taking it out in Arizona against the Cardinals with a 45-17 victory. Cardinals, they were, most of the season they were losing games they shouldn't have. They were losing close games. Now they're not even losing close games anymore. They're just getting blown out. And this is yet another example of it. Good thing I had the Rams winning this game. Chiefs and the Texans, and the scores are reversed on this one, guys. I made the Chiefs fans think. They lost another game, and they're below 500 in going into Week 15, guys. Oh, man, they wish they would have won. They thought they should have won. There were some Chiefs fans complaining about officiating, and they can shut up about that, right? Texans went out there and beat them. Patrick Mahomes looked bad. Travis Kelce looked bad. You can tell this Chiefs team looks old. They need a youth refreshment. And this Texans team also has a really good defense. Texans winning 20-10. Got you looking, Chiefs fans. Chiefs on the outside looking in of the playoffs as well. Texans making a late charge towards the wild card, to the 3 wild card teams, and even potentially at the division if some things break their way. Texans win this game, even though I had the Chiefs winning it. And maybe it's time for me to give up on the Chiefs as well. Side note. And the last game of the week, an overtime stunner between the Chargers and the Eagles. Jalen Hurts looked like he was in a bakery somewhere with all the turnovers he was cooking up. Turnover after turnover after turnover. Worst game of the season for Jalen Hurts. He looked awful. Justin Herbert did enough to win. He used his legs with his horrid offensive line. I still don't think Justin Herbert's a top 5 quarterback. I think he did just enough to win this game, but if you are given 5 turnovers by your defense, you should not even have to go to overtime. I know one of them happened in overtime. The Eagles should have won this game. Eagles defense is doing everything it can, and this Eagles offense just tries to lose games every single week. This week they did, and this is a really big result in the AFC, because if the Eagles won this game, I think things would have got interesting with the Chargers loss. Things would have got interesting. I think all of the teams that are on the outside looking in, I think would have felt confident that they could make a run with the Chargers loss this week. Chargers found a way to win a game against the Eagles, the defending Super Bowl champs, and because of that, I think it's looking very dull for many teams in the AFC. Who did I pick? I did have the Chargers winning, because I didn't like the way the Eagles were playing coming into it, and it seems as if I was right. That gives me a record of 8-6 this week. That's awful, but I've been awful all season. I'm now down to 65.1%. I'm not going to hit the goal of 204-68 that I set out to hit. It is officially done, and I would have to have an incredible finish to even hit the goal of last week. I don't even think I'm going to hit 70% like I did last year. Maybe I can hit 2/3, right, guys? Maybe we can get to 66.7%. get to that. I pick 2 out of every 3 games right, but I'm not even on pace for that. It's been a horrible year, been a lot of parity in the NFL, which is a good thing, a lot of random upsets, but that's been horrible for me picking. I've done a horrible job, and I might have to write an apology letter to all the listeners out there, especially because I think I had a good year last year. But enough about that. I'm still going to try these last 4 weeks to make a run at 190 wins, 180 wins, something to make myself feel good going in the next year, because it has been rough so far this season. Enough of that. Let's talk and look at this playoff picture. In the AFC, you have the Broncos and the Patriots, both 11-2, fighting for the 1 seed in that first round bye. Jaguars all of a sudden have a 1-game lead for their division, and they beat the Colts, so it's really a 2-game lead. Although I guess the Texans are still 1 game. Jaguars into the 3 seed. The 4 seed, the AFC North, the division where arguably nobody so far has proven they deserve the spot. Steelers have the 4 seed there with a 7-6 record. Chargers 9-4. That's what I mean. It would have been big if they go down to 8-5. All of a sudden, the Colts, the Ravens, the Chiefs all feel like they have a legitimate chance at this getting there. But 3 games up, that gets a little bit tough, even if they have a tougher schedule. So that was a massive win by the Chargers. Bills at 9-4 with a very interesting game next week against the Patriots. Or this week at this point, they are the 6th seed at 9-4, and then the Texans at 8-5 with the 7 seed. And then you see on the outside looking in, the Colts are 8-5, tied with the Texans, but the Texans have beaten them once. They do play again. All the Jaguars, Texans, and Colts can all still win the division. So all of them still have that as a route as well. The Ravens, the Chiefs, and the Dolphins are all sitting at 6-7. 6-7. Sorry, guys, I had to make the joke. They are the only 3 teams that will get to that record this year. And all 3 teams the last couple years have been playoff contenders, and all 3 teams are on the outside looking in. And I think the Ravens have the best chance, but for the Chiefs and Dolphins, it's looking very, very grim. They're both already eliminated from their division. The Ravens have not been, which is their saving grace, in my opinion. But it's looking bad for those teams. And the Bengals are 4-9. The only reason why I still have the Bengals here, they're not going to get a wild card spot. It may not be technically impossible, but for all intents and purposes, it is. But they can still win their division, so I have them here. But depending on the results this week, the Bengals could very easily be off this graphic next week. In fact, I believe a loss to the Ravens this week would eliminate them from playoff contention. Let's go over to the NFC here, where the Rams move back into the 1 seed with the Bears loss. The Packers are all of a sudden a 2 seed since they beat the Bears and have control of their division at 9-3-1. Eagles are still at the 3 seed despite some poor play as of late. They were fighting for the 1 seed just 2 weeks ago, and now they are at the 3 seed because, well, the NFC South is not very good, especially with the Bucks struggling at 7-6. The Seahawks 10-3, tied for the best record in the conference, tied for second best record in the NFL, and they're a 5 seed because the Rams are in their division, absolutely killing it as well. 49ers 9-4. The AFC West just looks incredible this year. And Bears go from the 1 seed to the 7 seed by losing 1 game. Bears at 9-4 are the 7 seed. Lions are 1 game out of the playoffs at 8-5. I still think, they have some tough games, but they still have a real chance. I believe they still play the Bears as well, and they already beat them once. Panthers at 7-6 on the outside looking in, but they're only 2 games out with 2 weeks left, and they have the same record as their division leader, so the Panthers are very much alive. Cowboys at 6-1. It's going to be hard for them to get to the wild card, possible, but unlikely. Maybe they can still win their division. And the Vikings, I have them here because they're technically not eliminated, but they really are. They don't really have a chance at the wild card. They don't have a chance at their division. They don't have a chance at a top 5 pick either, so they're already in that middling range. They will probably be moving off the graphic next week as well. So there you have your playoff pictures to keep in your head as I go into looking at Week 15, previewing these games and predicting them. Keep in mind some of these important playoff races in your head as well. Let's get into it. Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime. Raymond James Stadium, Tampa Bay, where Tampa Bay is 5.5-point favorites against Atlanta. And it appears Tampa Bay might be getting Mike Evans back. They might have Jalen McMillan back. That passing attack could be all the way back. Remember how lethal it was early in the season? Maybe it returns to those levels. Bucky Irving is back for him as well. Maybe this Tampa Bay offense is about to click and start going off at the right time. I think this Atlanta team is okay. They should be better than what their record is. But I think Tampa Bay's the desperate team. Atlanta doesn't have much to play for anymore. I think they still have some guys have good fantasy days. Chief among them, Bijan Robinson. But let's get into it. I think I don't have keys to the game talking about it. If you're the Bucs, this healthy offense, I was just saying, are they ready to go? I think they can be. I think they could score a lot of points. Also, Tampa Bay shut down the run. Atlanta has struggled to throw the ball as the season has gone on. You know where their best weapon is. Shut Bijan Robinson down in the run game and get through a game healthy. They've had so many guys in and out of the lineup, mostly on the offensive side of the ball, but a little bit on the defensive side of the ball. They just need to pick up a win and get out of there healthy and go into next week with a mini bye. And if you're the Falcons, find the same vulnerabilities as teams before. And what I mean by that is Tampa Bay's been struggling recently. They just lost the game to the Saints. If the Saints can find a way to beat the Tampa Bay team, Atlanta can as well. Like I said, Tampa's been struggling a little bit recently. Yes, they're getting healthy, but they have to. There has to be some type of vulnerability that they've had this season that Atlanta can exploit. Can they find a way to do that this week? They need to slow down the pass attack. I think this pass attack is going to be out there, and they're going to want to get it going. They have so many weapons out of the backfield, at tight end, out wide. Can Atlanta slow down the pass attack? And then what type of team is Atlanta offensively? I still think they are struggling to find identity. They need to find some identity this week if they want to have a chance to win. And I don't think they do. I think Tampa Bay picks up this win, and I think that they are getting healthy. They know the situation there, and they need to try and put space between them and Carolina, and I think they do it. Well, they at least pick up a win. Sunday, 1 o'clock, top 5 game of the week in Foxborough. New England versus Buffalo, the rematch, where Buffalo is a 1.5 favorite on the road. Let's get into it. New England, run first attack against a bad run defense. New England has a pretty good stable of backs. They got a young rookie that looks like he's flourishing as the season goes on. This Buffalo defense has not been able to stop the run all season. Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. They need to take away Josh Allen's tight ends. I think, Josh Allen doesn't have any standout wide receivers to me. If the Patriots have Christian Gonzalez playing, he's good to take away one of them. But Josh Allen loves his tight ends. They're very good pass-catching tight ends. New England, I think, defensively, they have a great run defense that's going to be able to slow James Cook down. Can they also slow down the tight ends that Josh Allen loves throwing to? And don't make mistakes. If you start turning the ball over, start getting penalized, which the Patriots in some games have done this year, it's going to give Buffalo momentum, and it's going to keep Buffalo in the game. New England has to avoid making silly mistakes. And if you are Buffalo, you need to have a good passing game. This New England run game is elite. The passing defense, not bad, but it's not great either. I think if there's a place where the Bills can maybe exploit the Patriots, it would be in the passing game. I want to see if the Bills can get the passing game working in this one. They need to stop the run. They've been struggling to do it all year. If you can't stop the run defensively, it takes away your pass rush. It means teams are staying ahead of the sticks, and they can always have the option to run or pass. There's no obvious downs. And it's so important to stop the run. The Bills have struggled to do it consistently this year. They're going to have to do it to have a chance this week. And they need to show up for a big road game. Buffalo has struggled to show up on the road this year, in my opinion. They've lost some road games that they probably shouldn't have, and it looks like to me they just don't always show up. Can Buffalo show up on the road? I've been flip-flopping on this game all day, all week. Who do I think is going to win? To me, I'm like, Buffalo should be the favorite here, and I think Buffalo has a very real chance to win. But I think New England can run the ball well. I think they can stop the run well. Things that, and Buffalo likes to run the ball. New England has home field advantage. They're coming off of a bye. But this is a massive game. Buffalo needs this game, or they could be in serious trouble in the playoff race and in the wild card race. In fact, if Buffalo loses this, New England clinches the AFC East, but New England has something to fight for because they want to win the 1 seed. I'm back and forth on this game. I could see it going either way. I'm going to stick with Buffalo for now, but I reserve my right to change it at the end when I give you the summary. I think this is going to be an incredible game to watch. Sunday, 1 o'clock, another important divisional battle in what's kind of an elimination game. I think the loser of this game is probably eliminated from playoff contention, so give it a top 5 game of the week because I think we're going to see points in this one. Baltimore, 2.5-point road favorites against Cincinnati. If you're Cincinnati, you need to score a lot. Again, they have no problem scoring. They're going to have to do it this week. The big story for me is, especially with Trey Hendrickson on IR, can this defense find ways to be successful, right? Can they find ways to create turnovers? Because that's how they beat Baltimore last game. The defense was able to create enough turnovers, give the offense advantage positions, and create turnovers when it looked like Baltimore was going to be scoring, and they did it enough to win the game. Can they find ways to do something similar this week? And they can't get Burrow killed. Burrow takes a lot of hits. The offensive line needs to just be good enough. Burrow, throw the ball away if you have to sometimes. Sometimes I think he tries to make something happen, and he normally can, but he needs to not take as many hits, whether it's the line, whether it's him, or a combination of the two. If you're Baltimore, you can't have another 5-turnover game. That's what you did last time against Cincinnati. You'd have the division lead right now, or at least be tied for the division lead. Like your division chance would be looking a lot better if you didn't lose that game. It was a close game even with those 5 turnovers. Baltimore's got to hold on to the ball this week. They got to quit dumb mistakes. I just feel like Baltimore's been making so many dumb mistakes lately. Again, I think this Baltimore team is better than they've showed, but it's just turnovers. It's stupid mistakes on offense, stupid mistakes on defense that seem like they keep coming up and biting them. And the offense should be able to dominate the line of scrimmage. Without Trey Hendrickson there, it's going to make it even harder for the Bengals to set the edge, make it harder for the Bengals to pass rush. The Ravens should be able to run the ball. They should be able to have more time to throw, even with an offensive line that's been spotty this year. The Ravens need to dominate the line of scrimmage offensively. I think they do, and I think the Ravens pick up a win on the road this week. Sunday, 1 o'clock, the Jaguars hosting the Jets. Jacksonville, 13.5-point home favorites. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one. I'm going to read through the keys to the game. Jacksonville, run the ball. The Jets just gave up over 200 yards rushing to the Dolphins. Jaguars have been a better run team than the Dolphins have all year. Jaguars run the dang ball, continue to force turnovers. They're one of the best teams in the NFL at it. Jets will turn the ball over, continue to force them. And they need to get up early, and then they can coast. They can rotate guys in. Most important thing is, if you get up early and coast, you can stay healthy and keep guys out of harm's way. That's what the Jaguars should seek to do this week. If you're the Jets, I don't think you have much of a chance, but if you do, sell out to stop the run. You can't let Jacksonville do what Miami did last week. Whatever quarterback starts need to have a respectable passing game. They haven't had one all year. I don't expect them to have one, but for them to find better success offensively, that's part of it. And they can't beat themselves. They like to turn it over. They like to commit penalties. They got to cut that out. I don't think the Jets have much of a chance in this one. Give me Jacksonville. Sunday, 1 o'clock. This probably deserves top 5 game of the week, but there's a lot of great games this week. Again, this is probably an elimination game for one of these teams involved. Sunday, 1 o'clock at Arrowhead. Kansas City's 5.5-point favorites against the Los Angeles Chargers. Kansas City needs to get responsible pressure on Herbert. What do I mean by responsible pressure? Herbert's been really, really good at using his legs this year, and he's needed to with how much his offensive line has been banged up and struggling. Responsible pressure means you're getting pressure, but the pocket is collapsing together. You're not leaving gaps. If you leave him gaps to get out, he's going to use his legs to make a play, and it's going to be a long day for you defensively. It's going to look a lot like it did in Brazil. And Mahomes and the offense need to stop the turnovers. You can't commit turnovers. They commit a lot of holding penalties too. The offense has got to be more disciplined. It's got to be more consistent, and especially against a good defense in the Chargers. That's one thing I'm looking for Kansas City to do this weekend to have a chance. And they need to take advantage of the Chargers' injuries. The Chargers are a banged-up team. They have been all year. They are still a good team. They have still found ways to win, but they need to take advantage, especially when the Chargers are on offense and they're on defense, of the Chargers' injuries to have. well, you should just always take advantage of injuries where you can. Not in a malicious way, just you guys are down a couple guys. We don't feel sorry for you. We're going to try and make you pay for that. And if you're the Chargers, don't make Herbert have to be Superman. Don't make him have to do everything. Excuse me. Don't make Herbert have to do everything. Don't make him be Superman. I know it's tough when you're so banged up on the offensive line. I've talked about it already ad nauseum, but you guys get the point. Don't make Herbert have to do everything. I don't think that is a strategy to consistently win football games. They need to find moments to attack downfield. The Chargers, the Chiefs' pass defense is more susceptible than their rush defense is. And I know that the Chargers are banged up offensively, but they have their running back. I think they can maybe find some room in the running game. That's imperative. But if they can find their moments to attack downfield, I think that they'll have guys open down there, and it can lead to big chunk plays. If I'm the Chargers, I'm trying to run the ball and then attack downfield against a Chiefs team that has a better rush defense than pass defense. And the Chargers need to have another big game defensively. This defense has been a strength of the team all year. I think it carried them last game. It's kind of carried them through some of these offensive injuries. This defense is going to need another huge game for them to have a chance in my mind. And I think the Chiefs, in full desperation mode at home, find a way to win this one. Maybe not be pretty, but I do think the Chiefs, just because they're healthy and they're desperate, find a way to win this one. And I don't think Mahomes has two awful games in a row. Another 1 o'clock game. Houston is 9.5-point favorites facing the Cardinals. If you are Houston, your defense needs to continue to be dominant the rest of the season, and I think they can be against this Cardinals team. They need to take away Brissett magic. I think the Brissett magic is running out. He has some nice plays. This Cardinals offense, though, I think is still a little bit streaky. I think Houston's really going to be able to take away the run game. Go ahead and take away their quarterback's ability to throw the ball to all of the weapons as well. And the Texans need to stay balanced offensively. This Arizona team is not an awful defense, but they are below average. And I think if the Texans are smart, stay ahead of the chains, and have a balanced offensive approach, they're going to continue to find success, especially late game. If you're the Cardinals in this one, you have to block the line of scrimmage. If you can't block the line of scrimmage, you're going to let this Texans defensive line wreak havoc in the pass and the run game, and you're going to have trouble moving the ball all day. They have to block the line of scrimmage. They have to own the line of scrimmage. This offense needs to get long, sustained drives. The best way to wear down this defense and help your own defense, long, sustained drives that take time off the clock. Lean on a defense. It also cuts down on the amount of possessions in a game, and sometimes that can keep you in a game as well. When you can, obviously, less possessions, if you're taking advantage, the game is going to stay closer as well. And can this defense have a good game against an average offense? This offense still isn't great. It's been a little bit better as of late. But can the Cardinals have a good day against an average-ish offense? That's one thing I'm looking for. What does this Cardinals defense, which sometimes looks good and sometimes looks bad, what does it look like this week? I think the Texans are hot right now. I think the Texans win this game at home. Maybe the Cardinals keep it closer than people think, or keep it closer for longer than people realize. But I do think eventually the Texans come away with a win in this game. Next game, also at 1 o'clock, the Bears are hosting the Browns in a battle of orange teams. The Bears trying to rebound as 7.5-point home favorites with a low total at 38.5. Let's get into it. The Bears need a win. A loss puts them in danger of falling out of the playoffs for now. They need to have a consistent run game against an elite defense. This Bears rush attack is number 2 in the NFL. It's been a very good rush team. The passing attack has fallen off a little bit, but I also think that's partially been the matchups they've had. This is an elite Browns defense. Can the Bears, not the Brers, consistently run the ball, especially because I think that has been so important in setting up their pass game. Their defense needs to confuse Shedeur Sanders at quarterback if they can. This Bears defense has been good at forcing turnovers at times, has not been great yardage wise. Can they find a way to force turnovers against a young quarterback making his third career start in Shedeur Sanders? That could have a large bearing on this game because I do think the Browns might be able to move the ball a little bit against the Bears defense this week, and they need to win the turnover battle. 2 and 3 kind of go hand in hand. The Bears have been such an elite team at winning the turnover battle, top 5 in the NFL. They don't turn it over a lot, and they force turnovers from the other team. They need to win that this week, and I think they'll have a good chance to win. And if you're the Browns, defense needs to take away the run game. Yes, the Bears have weapons in the pass game, but as of late, the pass game's dipped a little bit, and I think this Bears team still wants to be a physical run-the-ball team. I think if you can make them throw the ball, put them in obvious passing situations, that you can have a good day, and I think the Browns have the ability to do so. They need to run the ball well against a bad run defense. When sometimes the best way to win football games, especially this time of year when it looks like it's going to be cold, windy, and ugly weather, run the ball well, be physical, and then play good defense. The Browns, I think, are built to do that. This is not a good run defense from Chicago. Hasn't been most of the year. I think the Browns, with Judkins back there, could even potentially start to gash them, and they're going to need to have that run game and defense in a bad weather game. No stupid mistakes for the Browns on offense either. They made some last week, had some bad turnovers. That's a game they should have won handedly, and instead they lost it. No more mistakes offensively, especially when you're playing up against an opponent on the road. Mistakes will kill you so fast. I think the Browns can keep this one close. I think they keep it close, but I think in the end, the Bears will find a way to win another close game against a team that's picking top 10 in the NFL draft. They have made a habit of that this season. The Toilet Bowl game of the week. Really only excuse me, 2 options this week, and this is the one that it is. These teams this year, are you ready? They both have played 13 games, meaning combined these teams have played 26 games. And what is the combined record for the Commanders and the Giants in this game? 5-21. One team is 2-11. One team is 3-10. That's why this is the Toilet Bowl game of the week, where the Giants are 2.5-point favorites over the Commanders. Giants could have a much better record. They have choked a lot of games away this season. Let's get into it. If you are the Giants, your run defense needs to sell out. The run defense has been bad all year. The Commanders can run the ball. They're going to want to run the ball with Daniels out. Sell out to stop the run. Make Marcus Mariota beat you through the air. And did they use their bye effectively? The Giants had a bye week. They're coming off of a bye week. They're at home against the divisional rival who played last week. They've had 2 weeks to prepare. They've had time to rest. Do the Giants come out ready to play this week? Looking good. And is this a game they even want to win? Listen, I believe you should try and win every single game you play. I believe these guys are professionals. They don't want to lose. They're going to try and win every game you want to play. I do not condone tanking. I don't like to see teams tank. I think you should win every single game you play. However, this is a 2-win Giants team against a 3-win Commanders team. You win this game, now you're both 3 wins, and you can hurt your draft pick and let a division rival slide ahead of you. So maybe this is a situation where it's a win-win. Either you win a game and your team is happy, your fan base gets to say, we picked up a win over a division rival, and if you lose, oh well, that sucks. We have a new head coach coming in next season, at least for the Giants, and we have a good pick. If you're the Commanders, your defense needs to step up, especially against the rush offense. This is a very, very bad Commanders rushing defense, 2 of the worst rush defenses in the NFL. And both of these teams like to run it. This could just turn down into whichever team runs the ball the best or whichever team stops the run the best wins this game. I think you're going to see a lot of rushing yards, not a lot of passing yards in this game. Although if it does come down to pass yards, this Giants pass defense has been better than the Commanders has. Also, if you're the Commanders, again, I was just talking about it. Run the ball, own time of possession, keep the Giants off the field, and the Commanders need an efficient red zone offense. Take advantage of the opportunities when they get down there. Who wins this game? I don't know. I actually think this game could be a really, really good old school game. I'll let you know at the end. I've been early on the Commanders because I think they're more desperate. They had more expectations. But there's the Giants are talking to me too, so I'll keep you updated on that game at the end. Still in the 1 o'clock time slate. First week of fantasy playoffs this week, guys, and heck of a lot of 1 o'clock games. Eagles hosting the Raiders as 11.5-point favorites. If you're the Eagles, you need to get Jalen Hurts out of the funk. It did not look good for him last week. Wasn't entirely his fault, but still, there were some of those interceptions that were absolutely his fault. Some of the things that happened in that game were his fault. Just because a couple things that happened weren't on Hurts doesn't mean he gets an excuse for the game. You need to get Hurts out of this funk against a defense that's starting to play better, even though it hasn't played well most of the year. Point two for the Eagles, A.J. Brown needs to hit the jugs machine. Had a lot of balls that he dropped last week. They probably win the game if A.J. Brown catches those balls. A.J. Brown normally doesn't make those kind of mistakes. What can A.J. Brown rebound? What does A.J. Brown do at practice this week to stop those drops? And if you're the Eagles, you're playing a bad offense. Your defense needs to dominate a weak offense. They need to dominate again. They carried the team last week with all those turnovers. Can the Eagles defense have another great showing? Because right now, that's the only good thing the Eagles have going for them. And if you're the Raiders, build on offensive successes. You just had 17 points against one of the two best defenses in the NFL, in my mind, in the Broncos. Can the Raiders continue to build and find success? 17 points isn't a lot, but 17 against the Broncos is, can they get to 20 this week against another good defense? They've been struggling offensively most of the year. Are they finding some late season success? Also, if you're the Raiders, make the Eagles cover your two tight ends. The Eagles sometimes, in my opinion, this year, maybe if you run that two tight end set, run the ball with Gentry a little bit, it'll free up your tight ends, and I think maybe that is probably their best chance at moving the ball consistently against the Eagles. I don't know. That's just my opinion. But I think they at least need to make the Eagles cover their two tight ends because they're both very good. One's really, really good in Brock Bowers at becoming a pass catcher. And lastly, this defense needs to continue to show consistency. This Eagles offense is going to be looking for a rebound game. It's going to be looking to shut some people up after last week. This Raiders defense has slowly been playing better. It's been playing better the last couple of weeks. Is that a consistent thing, or does it go down the toilet this week? That's one thing I'm watching. I think this game could be a little bit closer than people realize. I think this Raiders defense will be able to hold the Eagles down some. I think this is lower scoring than people realize, but I do think the Eagles pick up the win. Finally, to the 4 o'clock slate with a top 5 game of the week. The Seahawks hosting the Colts as 13.5-point favorites. And you'll be saying, Ben, how is a game where a team is a 13.5-point underdog, a top 5 game of the week? Well, I'm about to talk about it. And this is still a 10-3 team against an 8-5 team, even if Daniel Jones has a torn Achilles. If you're Seattle, you have an advantage in the pass game. Use it. The Seattle has one of the best pass offenses in the NFL. The biggest weakness on this Colts team, well, at least most of the season coming into the last couple weeks, has been their pass defense. I think that Seattle will be able to exploit it most of the game, and I think Seattle could go for a lot of passing yards this week. They need a sellout to stop Taylor. Colts starting quarterback out. Who knows what it's going to look like back there this week? Jonathan Taylor's leading the league in rushing, and now they don't have their starter. You know the Colts are going to try and be physical and run it with that offensive line. Seattle has had a great rush defense all year. Their pass defense is where they're a little bit vulnerable, but I still think if they force the Colts to throw the ball and don't let Taylor beat them, they'll be in good shape this week. And they need to use that home field advantage with the noise. Whichever quarterback back there, it's going to be their first week calling plays. Even if it is Phillip Rivers, which is part of the reason why I have this as a top 5 game, there's still going to be, new things to work with, new things to communicate. Be loud. Use that for your advantage against a team that's probably going to have some communication issues, at least early in a raucous environment. If you're the Colts, can you still run the ball against the field box? You're probably going to see looks with 8 guys in the box this week. Can you still find room to run the ball well? I think the Colts will have some success, maybe not as much as they're used to. And maybe the biggest point, the reason why this game is worth watching, Hall of Fame quarterback Phillip Rivers, he's not in the Hall of Fame. I do think he ends up there regardless of what happens. Coming out of retirement, he's been retired for 3 years now, coming out of retirement at the age of 44 to lead this Colts team. It's increasingly more likely that he starts this game. Does he have any old man / dad strength? If he has dad strength, he has a lot of freaking kids, guys. That could mean a lot of strength. Does Philip Rivers have anything left in the tank to help this Colts team? And this pass defense is going to have their best game of the season. If this pass defense starts to break, especially in the second half, this game could get ugly early, and then you're going to have to be passing it with an old man back there who hasn't taken an NFL hit in a long time. So this pass defense is going to have to take a massive step forward. Give me Seattle to win this game. Too many things working against Indy. 4 o'clock, top 5 game of the week, maybe the best game of the week, the 2 seed in the NFC against the 1 seed in the AFC. The Broncos are 2.5-point underdogs, despite having the best record in the NFL. 2.5-point underdogs at home against the Packers. If you're Denver, your offense needs to consistently show up. It's been a problem all year. You're playing a good defense. You can't be up and down against a good defense. They need to show up at home against the Packers, or this is going to be ugly, low scoring. This is so. Can Denver's offense consistently put scoreboard pressure on Green Bay? They need to stop Green Bay's pass offense first. Green Bay's rush offense has started to falter, and it is slowly slipping the last couple of weeks. Green Bay wants to throw the ball. They're better at it. Can Denver slow down Green Bay's pass attack? And last point for Denver, continue being great in critical positions. I believe they have the second best third down defense in the NFL and the best red zone defense in the NFL. If they continue getting off the field on third down, that's always big. Put the ball in the hands of your offense. And in the red zone, if you're forcing field goals and turnovers instead of touchdowns, that's always a winning recipe as well. Denver needs to be great in those critical positions on the defensive side of the ball. And if you're Green Bay, have success in the passing game. You can't be one-dimensional. And I think Denver's pass defense is a little bit worse than its rush defense, but Denver's still one of the best defenses in the NFL. Green Bay wants to move it in the pass game. They need to have a pass game working to some level to have a chance in this one. They need to continue to be efficient in the red zone. If they take advantage, they're not going to get a lot of opportunities in the red zone. If they take advantage of the opportunities they do get, it could put a lot of pressure on that Denver offense. And they need to continue to take care of the ball. They are one of the best teams in the NFL at not turning the ball over. You're playing an elite defense. You don't need to help them out by giving them turnovers. Can Green Bay hold on to the ball? This is going to be a close one, an exciting one. I've been on Denver all week, but I'm flipping last minute to Green Bay. Green Bay's offense has been spotty at times this year, but I still trust it more than Denver's offense. Denver's defense might be a little bit better, but I'm still picking Green Bay to win this one. I think Green Bay's a little bit better, and I kind of think Denver's due for a loss as well. 4 o'clock game, the least interesting one. For the 49ers are 12.5-point home favorites against the Titans. If you are the 49ers, get the pass game going early. This is not a good Tennessee defense. You are a great passing team. Tennessee will let you throw the ball. Get that pass game cooking. Did they use the bye week for the 49ers? They're also coming off a bye week. Are they rested and ready to go? That's a big question I have. They should be good. Sometimes I think bye weeks are good for teams. They'll get them the rest. Sometimes I do think there's some teams that come out a little bit sluggish out of a bye week. The 49ers can't afford to do that this week, and they can't lose the turnover battle. I don't think an upset should happen, but if it does, it's going to come because the Titans force some turnovers. So if you're 49ers, just play discipline, play smart, and I think that pass game alone will carry them to victory. If you're the Titans, even if you struggle to do some of these throughout the year, take away the pass attack. That's how the 49ers want to move the ball. Their rushing offense has not always been up to snuff this year. Take away the pass attack. Also, if you're Tennessee, to have a chance, take away the pass attack, force turnovers, get the defense on the field to give your offense advantage opportunities, and keep Cam Ward protected. The Tennessee offense is sometimes awful to watch. They don't do a lot right. Cam Ward hasn't had a great rookie season, but he also doesn't have a lot around him. I'm interested to see if Tennessee can keep Cam Ward protected, if he can find some holes in the San Francisco passing defense, which sometimes looks good and sometimes looks bad. I don't think any of that happens. I think San Francisco dominates this one start to finish. And then what I believe is the last 4 o'clock game of the week. There's only 4 this week in New Orleans at the Caesars Superdome. New Orleans is a 2.5-point home underdog to the 7-6 Panthers. If you're New Orleans, be elite on third down. Defensively, New Orleans is an elite defense on third down. They're very good at getting off the field. That will be huge this week. The rush defense needs to take a step forward. Carolina's a run-first team. They're good at running the ball. New Orleans is a good pass defense, just an average to below average rush defense. New Orleans needs to take a step forward in the run game, especially if they want to try and play spoiler to a division rival. And their offense needs to just score just enough. They don't need to score a lot. I think the Saints can contain the Panthers. They have already beaten them once this year. But can the Saints do just enough offensively where their defense doesn't feel like they have to pitch a shutout or a single-digit day? I think that's a very real possibility. And if you're the Panthers, commit to the run early and often. You like to run the ball. The Saints are a good pass defense. They're not a great rush defense. So you should have the advantage there. Run it early and often. They need to have better third down defense. Carolina this year is not very good on third downs defensively on terms of forcing teams to punt. They need to do that this week. Get the Saints offense off the field. Give it back to your offense where you can continue to ground and pound. And they need to continue to be disciplined. They're very, very good at not committing penalties. They need to continue to do that because that is one of the fastest ways to lose momentum and give it to the other team is by committing penalties. I think this is a close game. I think this game is going to be a lot more interesting than people think. I think the Saints have a very real chance to win, and I almost picked them. But I think the Panthers got caught lacking last time they played the Saints, and the Panthers know they have a chance at the playoffs, and if they lose this game, it probably goes out the window. So I think the Panthers will be prepared, and I think they win an ugly game against their division rivals. Low scoring as well. No, one more Sunday 4 o'clock game, a top 5 game of the week, maybe the game of the week. I think it's going to be high scoring. The Rams and the Lions from SoFi Stadium, where the Rams are 6-point home favorites. If you're the Rams, your pass offense is imperative. Detroit has a better rush defense than they do a pass defense. The Rams are one of the best passing offenses in the NFL, maybe the best. If you are the Rams, pass offense, pass, throw the ball, throw the ball, throw the ball, throw the ball. Also, if you're the Rams, win in the red zone. They're not great there defensively, but offensively, they're very, very good at getting touchdowns. This Detroit team can score a lot of points. You have to get touchdowns instead of field goals, and you have to hold on to the ball. The Rams are one of the best teams in turnover margin in the NFL this season. Very similar list here for the Lions. It's actually really the same list for the Lions. The pass offense needs to click because the Rams are a good rush defense, not a great pass defense. They need to win in the red zone because they're not great there defensively. They're very good there offensively. And they need to win the turnover margin. Both of these teams essentially have the same 3 points. I trust the Rams offense a little bit more than the Lions, but I do think this game is going to be won in the turnover battle and in the red zone. Whichever team scores touchdowns instead of kicks field goals will be in a good position. And I do think this game has the vibe of being a little bit shootouty. So whichever team can hold onto the ball and not give the other team an extra possession should win. I think this is a very close, high-scoring, fun game. But I think the Rams are a little bit more disciplined and just a little bit better on both sides of the ball. Give me the Rams. Finally, to Sunday Night Football from AT&T Stadium, not in Dallas, but in Arlington. Can't believe I made that mistake so many times this year when I know that it's Arlington. I digress. Dallas is 5.5-point Sunday Night Football favorites against the Minnesota Vikings. If you are Dallas, show up against a good pass defense. Minnesota, we've been wavering a little bit with the pass defense, but they're still a good pass defense. Dallas looks like CeeDee Lamb should play. Looks like they're going to have their full array of weapons. This is not a game Dallas can afford to lose if they want to have any chance at making it back into the playoffs. This offense, especially their pass offense, needs to carry them to victory here. Although Vikings, not a great run defense, maybe there's something there for the Cowboys. Throw different looks and confuse a young quarterback. JJ is back in there. I think this Cowboys defense should be able to force a turnover or two, get an interception or two, try and confuse McCarthy. There's been times this year where he throws a lot of interceptions. You need to continue to do the same thing, steal some possessions, and then win time of possession. I think the Cowboys are sometimes very good at going on these long punishing drives. If they can go on a couple of those, I think they could put the game out of reach and wear down this Vikings defense. And if you're the Vikings, build on last week's success. They had a 31-0 win that seemingly came out of nowhere. Can the Vikings build on what made them successful in that game and apply it to this game on the road? Their defense is taking a step up in competition. This is a much better offense in Dallas than the Commanders were last week. So can that defense replicate the same performance they did last week? And they need to find mismatches against Dallas's pass defense. I still think Dallas's defense can be got sometimes, and I really think Minnesota has a great wide receiver core, led by Justin Jefferson, that can take advantage of Dallas's secondary and make it easier on JJ McCarthy. They need to find mismatches against Dallas's secondary to win this game. I think Minnesota hangs around and makes it interesting, but I do think Dallas eventually wins this game, and I think that they score a lot of points. Doing so, I think it starts off slow and then picks up pace in the second half. Give me Dallas. And then the last game of the week, Monday Night Football. Looks like it's going to be a cold, awful weather game in Pittsburgh where they are 3-point favorites over the Dolphins, and in cold, bad weather only being 3-point favorites over Miami, who historically, or especially recent history, has struggled in Miami, struggled a lot in cold weather, says a lot about the Steelers. Let's get into it. If you're Pittsburgh, your defense needs to create turnovers. Tua is tied for the league lead in interceptions. This Miami team, especially Tua, will turn the ball over. It's been the strongest point of Pittsburgh's team is creating turnovers. They give up a lot of yards. Their offense is not top 20 in any category, so they really rely on turnovers. This defense is going to have to force them in what looks to be a cold, ugly weather game. Also, if you're Pittsburgh, sell out to stop the run. Yes, Pittsburgh has one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL. So why do I want them to sell to stop the run and not the pass? Well, Tua Tagovailoa has really struggled this year, and the last month has been the worst month stretch of his career. He has absolutely sucked, especially as of late. And Miami's rushing offense has been one of the best in the NFL over this hot streak that they've had. Pittsburgh, yes, like I said, their pass defense sucks, but the last 2 games they've given up over 200 yards rushing. And in an awful weather game with a struggling quarterback in Tua, I'd rather them make them beat me through the air, regardless of how bad my pass defense has been, rather than have another team run for 200 with a great trio of running backs in Miami. Sell out to stop the run. And if you're also force Miami to quit in the cold weather, I think sometimes it's a very big narrative. Miami can't win in cold weather. They're not a tough physical team. And if you're Pittsburgh, you're used to the cold weather. You're used to that AFC North football. You got Mike Tomlin, right? They need to see if they could force Miami to quit in the cold weather. I was about to say Heinz Field, guys. That shows you how old I am. The field in Pittsburgh, I think, is a hard field. It's not fun to fall down on. Pittsburgh can be a physical team. Can they force Miami to quit in the cold weather? I think that could have a very large impact on this game. And if you're Miami, pound the rock against a struggling rush defense. I just talked about Pittsburgh trying to sell out. I think this entire game is going to come down to, can Miami successfully run the ball? They've been doing it very well as of late. This Miami team is better running the ball than passing the ball. They have Devon Achane, who's on an incredible run, having an incredible season. They have Ollie Gordon and Jalen Wright. Jalen Wright just ran for over 100 yards last week. Ollie Gordon has looked like a good physical back. So can Miami pound the rock against a struggling rush defense? Both teams, I think, know that's where the game's going to be won and lost. Miami needs to run the ball well. They also need to take care of it, right? Like Tua can't be committing turnovers. The running backs have to hold on to the ball. Sometimes it's harder to hold on to the ball in cold weather. Can't turn the ball over. When Miami loses games, it's frequently there's a large what's it called? Usually when they lose games, it's because they're turning the ball over, right? If you look at their losses, they have turnovers. You look at their wins, they don't really have turnovers. Take care of the ball, Miami, especially against a team that's good at forcing turnovers. Also, if you're Miami, Tua has sucked most of the year. Can he take advantage of opportunities? This is not a good pass defense. It's not going to be good weather, so you don't want to have to rely on the pass game. But there's going to be opportunities against this defense, especially assuming they sell it to stop the run. Tua needs to take advantage and finally live up to his contract because he has been awful this year. Can Tua take advantage of opportunities when he gets them? That will have just as much impact on this game as anything else. Another interesting note that is very, very recent as of recording, TJ Watt looks to be questionable for this game, getting rushed to the hospital. I hope TJ Watt is okay, but if he's not able to go, that is another huge loss for the Steelers, their best defensive player. This is a toss-up game. I think if Miami loses this game, they have no chance of making the playoffs. I think if Pittsburgh loses this game, it brings the Ravens back to them and puts them in a risky situation in regards to the division. This is a very, very big, important game for both of these teams. Bad weather, old school. I think it's going to be old school physical football. I lean Pittsburgh just because Miami has not proven they can win these type of games in the cold weather late in the season. And because of that, I want to go with Pittsburgh. But I think Miami is the slightly better team, at least as of how they've been playing as of late. So I would not be shocked at all if Miami finally shows up and wins a cold weather, physical, bad weather game this week. But just based off of recent history, I'm going to take the Steelers, even though I don't believe in them. Here is a summary of my picks. I told you I'd get back. I'm going to officially pick the Giants from the Commanders. I've been on the Commanders all week, and I am going to go ahead and flip that game. And I think I'm going to pick the Bills. If the Bills lose, they're in danger of missing the playoffs with all the teams breathing down their neck. I think the Bills show up more desperate. The Patriots aren't going to win all their games the rest of the season. They're on a long winning streak. It has to end sometime. Give me the Bills to win. I said I'd come back to that game as well. And other than that, nothing else has changed. Everything else is the same. 4 weeks until playoffs, guys. Fantasy playoffs starting for a lot of people this week as well, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot of tension on the games this week for that. 4 weeks until the NFL playoff starts, and there's 16 games a week, which is why the episodes are probably going to be longer because there's more action to recap and more action to preview. Thank you guys, everybody, for coming out. Please, please, please like, comment, subscribe, and follow me on X. Let me know your weekly picks and your games that you're watching this week. Let me know your record, and let me know if you guys made fantasy playoffs or not. I know that I did. I'm even in 2 of my leagues have the number 1 overall seed and sitting comfy on a bye this week. Let me know how you guys are doing. Thank you for taking time out of your days, your weeks, and your lives for listening. Find a couch, watch some sports this weekend. Take care of yourself. Stay safe out there. Peace out.